Welcome to Tatooine.
Hello, Chip Dippers, or as we're doing things a little different today, I should say, hello, young Padawans.
Hello, Factors. Hello, Poppy Factors. Hello, Factors.
Hi, Adriana.
Hi, Chip Dippers.
It's Chip Dippers.
Hello, Chip Dippers.
That's better. Mm-hmm. Oh.
Adorable. And speaking of younglings, as some of you know, I've been lucky enough to work on a few Star Wars projects as an actor, voice actor, and stand-in. And I receive a lot of comments asking me to tell more of that story.
Hey! That's not yours!
It is now! And one of those projects was a little movie called The Phantom Menace, in a blink and you'll miss it part where I portrayed Bravo 6, Lieutenant Gavin Sykes. There he is above Natalie Portman. Not a bad place to be. Oops, sorry honey, love you. Oh dear. However, what wasn't blink and you'll miss it was how fleshed out that character was in the expanded universe. Here's his wiki page, for example. And one of the reasons for that is if you ever played Battle for Naboo, you actually play the whole game as Gavin Sykes himself, myself. And at the end, his destroying the Neimoidian control ship shields is actually the official canon reason why Anakin Skywalker was able to fly inside that ship, destroy it from within, and start his journey down the path to the dark side. And may I therefore use this platform to apologise to the many younglings for what happened a few years later. Yeah, sorry about that. So whilst it was rather ironic that I was later the stand-in for Anakin himself, what has always been a little more surreal to me in a way is that Sony and LucasArts placed Gavin Sykes inside another game, 2003's Morpeg, Star Wars Galaxies. Now that game is actually set between A New Hope and The Empire Strikes Back, by which time my character had been promoted to become Captain Gavin Sykes. Now sadly, as you know, Sony shut down the game in 2011 after a lot of controversy about some changes they'd made. But we're not here to go into the dark side of gaming. I mean, gaming's meant to be about fun, or even into the movies. Retro Recipes is, after all about seeing the good in things and just childhood nostalgia. And it's nostalgia that really kicks in for me when I have occasionally played Star Wars Galaxies, because I get to travel back to Naboo. You see, I spent several months on the real Naboo back in 1997, talk about retro, and it was truly a special time, hanging out on Theed Plaza, jumping into my beautiful N1 Starfighter, or watching Darth Maul fight 2 Jedi Knights whilst I ate a jam donut. And normally in life, one just doesn't get the privilege of travelling back through memories into such defining moments just to catch glimpses of them again. All you're left with really are clips from the movies. For example, here's the back of my head in the Star Tours ride at Disney World. But what you may not know is that a few intrepid fan groups have actually resurrected Sony's game, and you can play it today via either SWG Legends or SWG Emu.
Emu.
No, that's a cow. Now, of course, you'll need the original installation discs to make it completely legal, but with those in hand, you can then patch over this new launchpad and launch the game hosted on their new servers. All the original planets are there, like Tatooine, Hoth, Coruscant, but we're going to step back into my memories and revisit noble Naboo. And my mission with you today, apart from indulging in a little nostalgia walking through Naboo itself, will be to track down Captain Sykes and complete a mission that he will assign us. You see, although I know where he is in the game, I've never actually embarked on the quest that he sets for players. I think it's about time I did. Well, I wanted to set the scene with some context, but that's enough talk from me. How about some action? So let's revisit my character in that galaxy far, far away.
Star Wars Galaxies. Experience the greatest Star Wars saga ever told. Yours.
I'm just having a bit of fun. I'm first to admit that I played some very small characters in those big movies. But what isn't small is this. Look at that, there's over 600 people online playing Galaxies right now. Not bad for a game that was meant to be dead 9 years ago. Now as we get started here, just a heads up, Lady Fractig actually lent me her account. That's what we're going to be using. Why is she in her underwear? Oh, I think the clothing hasn't been applied from the last time it was... I'm speechless, not good for a voice actor. Let's apply some clothing and give her modesty back. I'll probably edit this out later. There we go, that's better. Now, as you can see, we've started on Mos Eisley. That must be where she last played. And this is a pretty faithful recreation of that hive of scum and villainy from A New Hope. Speaking of scum, that's a bit rude. Now, before we go to Naboo, we've got to just pay a quick visit to one particular location here. But if you're a droid, you'll have to wait outside. I guess that droid got past the bouncers. Well, it's time to leave the Cantina Band behind, but they and lots of other landmarks in the movies will be there whenever we want to visit them. But for now, we need to go get a ticket to Naboo. So Captain Gavin Sykes is on Karen Starport, but I think first I just want to take you on a little trip down memory lane and revisit Theed, because there's a couple of very cool landmarks that I want to show you. Come with me. Good to be home. This is Theed. This is where the movie is set. And just have a little quick look around. Tell me if you recognize anything. On our way to those locations, you can see why I love Naboo. It really is like Venice, Italy. Although, of course, Italy copied Naboo because this happened a long time ago. The Hanging Gardens of Nabubon or something. But here's the first thing I wanted to show you. Do you recognize that arch in the background? Yep, there it is. Oh, who's he? This is Theed Palace. And we can go right back there, right now. Even have some fun and compare what a good job the game programmers did in recreating the elements from the movies. They got those two horsey things on the top back to front, but never mind. But seeing as we're here, I may as well briefly reprise my role as Gavin Sykes, standing on the palace steps. I worked on this movie for 3 months in 1997, and we spent several days making this celebration scene, so I can still remember exactly where I stood on the steps, and the game is a perfect reproduction of that. I can remember it like it was, well, not 23 years ago. It's time for Gavin Sykes to leave that particular memory behind, but there is one more that's worth revisiting. Do you recognise this waterfall and this hangar? and a little behind the scenes tidbit, one day I went to get into costume and I found a note that said, "Hey, we've borrowed your helmet for Anakin." Yep, that's mine. Again, rather ironic considering that I'd later wear Anakin's hood. I guess it's true, the Force does bind the galaxy together. Oh, got very deep there. Sorry, I was just thinking about those poor younglings. Anyway, in order to travel to Theed and meet Gavin Sykes himself, we have to go inside that hangar, which brings back a few more memories. Good times, apart from all the killing. Right, well, with that said, let's get a ticket out of here. Oops, looks like we missed the transport. Well, I guess while we wait, I'll show you the place that I sat down and ate a jam donut one time. Yeah, there's a lot of waiting around on film sets, but luckily, I had something entertaining to watch. Yep, I really watched them film the whole thing while sitting under my Naboo starfighter right there. And from one ship to another, let's follow protocol and give our ticket to the protocol droid. And you know, those tickets really remind me of PCBs. And if you want a PCB, I recommend PCB Way! They make great quality PCBs from just $5, even ones like this that look a bit like they could be a Star Wars Galaxies ticket. Because as we all know, PCB stands for Playing Captain Brilliantly, doesn't it? And we are now at the Karen Starport, so let's go and find the good captain himself, myself. Honestly, I'm beside myself. Now you might be thinking it doesn't look hugely like me. Now in this magazine, they explained that they did use my character's likeness for creating the game. Presumably they must have looked at the surviving pilots, knowing that Gavin Sykes saves the day in the game, and maybe they used this image to draw him from. Who knows? But what we do know is that he's going to set us a mission. Here it is. Alright guys, let's go. And that beam of light in the distance is the waypoint that tells us where to find Zim Zam Blantis. And contrary to what you may have learned from Back to the Future, speeder bikes do work on water. Okay, here we are, and there he is. Let's get off our bike. Wait, who's shooting at us? I guess he's got some goons protecting him. Gungan goons. Gun goons? Put some clothes on, mate. It reminds me of Lady Fractic's account when we opened it. Got him. Yeah, we've got one more gun goon firing at us. Let's get him. Beautiful. Let's go loot all the bodies and then go and see Mr. Blattis. Looks like he brought an axe to a laser gunfight. That was cool. Let's see that again. Okay, let's go back to Gavin Sykes and give him the good news. Give me the good news. It's confusing. Did I mention to you guys how much I love Naboo? Oh. He's so proud of myself. You know what? Let's see if he's got another job. Okay, we've got to find a berserk Ikopi animal. The reports mention these animals are suffering from an unknown virus. Oh, little did I know, 17 years on, this would be so topical. Spooky. Let's go destroy this virus. That wasn't actual speed, in case you wondered. But here's our waypoint. I guess our animal is just over the hill. Oh, literally. Oh, it's kind of cute. Sorry, buddy. We have to put you down. This is like the Benny Hill version of Star Wars Galaxies. Oh, I didn't mean to go swim. Okay, now I'm swimming with the berserk virus, Ikopi. Come on, buddy, you're just making this harder on yourself. There you go. Rest in peace, my fine fellow. Daddy's proud of me. Well, I'm kind of enjoying this. How about one final job? This is actually interesting. It says here that during the Trade Federation War, which is when the movie and the Battle for Naboo game took place, Borvo the Hutt betrayed Lieutenant Sykes and killed his captain. Maybe that's how Sykes became captain. They're actually directly referencing the storyline of the game Battle for Naboo. It's very cool that they interlinked things in this way. So it's time for me to get one up on Borvo the Hutt. Now, I'm not a member of the Empire, but I do have this probe droid. I think it might help us in this attack. Finally, Gungoon's down. Let's go find Madrox. Madrox? Is he made of rocks? Well, apparently not. He has immediately surrendered. He'll go quietly as long as I'm alive. So let's see, does he follow us? Yeah? Okay. Finally, I've got a fan. Does he follow me when we're swimming as well? Oh, that's a bit close for comfort. This isn't OnlyFans. Right, you back off, buddy. Thank you. And now let's take him back to Captain Sykes for one last time. There we go, sir. Mission accomplished. And there we go. Or there I go. How meta. And though it looks like Gav might have some more missions for us, we're out of time for today. However, it is nice to know that he'll always be there, waiting for us in what is now, essentially, a retro game. But I suppose that's kind of fitting. I mean, after all, my channel is all about fantastical things that happened a long time ago. Thank you so much for joining me as I stepped back into my memories and paid Gavin Sykes a visit in that galaxy far, far away. You know, it doesn't seem that far away after all. I kind of like it that way. We should always keep childhood and nostalgia close at heart. As the saying goes, remembering is living. I hope you enjoyed this hyperspace ride down memory lane. And until the next one, thanks for watching, subscribe and join below. Cheerio, and remember, the nostalgia will be with you, always.